Were you guys not seeing my screen? We're still just, oh, March. No wonder you guys are talking about the weather. Can you all see my screen now? And did you miss the whole demonstration? Yes, you can see the screen now. Did you miss the whole demonstration? Is that a yes for both things, Kathleen? You can now see and hear me. Where am I? I've been talking. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to go back and redo this. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what we're doing is using the interpolate. I have made, I'm going to get this out of the way, the ones I just made. And I am going to go back to, it's a good thing this is a shorter lesson today. I'm going to go back to the beginning, get my first ring made. And like I said, if you've been able to at least, I don't think you even heard me, did you? So I've been talking for the last half hour. You couldn't see or hear me, and I hadn't realized it. So for the people who are new to our diagramming class, I am, and I'll do this off and on, going to make this first ring from scratch. I'm going to start to the left of this, knowing that it'll go to the right farther, and get it my first oval. And I drew that. I selected this pink circle with the white outline. It's the fourth one down. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the fifth one down on the left toolbar. Okay. And I'm going to select it with my clicking on the selection tool, the big left selector tool, big left arrow, or you can do Control SS for select on your keyboard. I'm going to move this down into place. Oh, it came out quite good. Really, when you work with this for a while, it gets so you really can, come out with very close. I'm going to move way in on this one. And the same thing I've shown before, I'm going to now use Control N for node tool, or the second tool down. I don't have nodes yet because this is still a circle object. I need to make it into an editable path. And now with this quick and easy little box rectangle white square with the green square around it right here in the center, I just click on that when I have the node tool. And now I have nodes, which means this is an editable path. I'm going to click on this bottom node. And I'm just, now you could at this point, I could make this. Notice if I'm going to go to the left, it's only moving the left, it's moving both, but they're not moving equally. So I'm going to Control Z to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure the blue node, center square node is selected. Go up, and right now it only shows the angle key, but of these, I'm going to show you first how, if you don't want a point at the bottom, you can click on this third one, which is symmetrical. Now, when I move the handle, click on the right round handle, both sides are staying symmetrical. But so I could make this, if I totally select off it, so I don't have a point down there, which you may want. The other thing is, I still got my node tool, select it again, um, when you do this starting from an oval, at the bottom, it's not maybe quite as wide as it could be. And what I find to make the best shaped ring is to select, drag around both the center nodes. I'm going to click my up arrow for page up, move it up one, and then I should move these two bottom handles, the round handles for these two nodes, down a little. So I've got a line. If you see where the tip of my hand is on the screen, the little screen hand, I've got this guide that I've pulled out of the ruler. I dragged from the ruler up here on top down, and I've made it down. Visually on screen, it looks like it's about an eighth of an inch below the bottom of each handle. And I'm just going to pull those down, each of those down separately. I'm going to hold my control key to keep it steady. And I'm going to pull down just enough that the bottom of the circle on the handle touches the line. And that makes a nice ring. Now, this is where we're going to get into the interpolation tool or extension. I've got a small ring here. Now, before, when I showed you how to, make your rings, I was duplicating one, moving it over on top of the next one, and resizing it to match. But we don't have to go to all that trouble. What we can do, I'm going to have to back out here a little farther, is I'm going to duplicate the first ring. So I'm going to Control D, or I could have copied and pasted or gone up to the Edit menu, Copy Paste. And I'm going to move the duplicate. I'm going to hold my Control key so I'm not moving it up and down or only to the side to keep it in position. Now that I've got this one, now I'm going to resize it, and I'm going to resize it by the corner handle, and I want it to get larger from the center out so that all sides so it stays symmetrical and all sides expand at the exact same distance and or scale. And I'm going to hold the shift key to have it expand from the center out, and the control key to keep it in proportion. Now let's see what I have. Yep, that looks, I expanded a little too much. Let's go a little smaller. A little smaller yet. All right, right there. Okay, so now I have my big one on the right end and my small one on the left end. I'm going to drag my guideline down again right to the base because I do want to make sure that I have them both. I don't think this is necessary, but when I get done, I want a nice straight line. I'm going to use my Z key to get my zoom, and I'm almost down on the ruler guide. I'm going to move this one down. Okay, so now I've got the first and the last one. That's all I've had to do. I'm going to keep the first one selected, and I'm going to hold my shift key and select the second one. Or I could drag over the whole thing and get both of them, but we need the beginning ring and the end ring selected at the same time. Now we're going to automatically add all the ring sizes in between. what we're going to do is go up to the extensions, which is the menu item just to the left of the help. Click on extensions, go down to generate from path. In the pop-out box, go down to interpolate between paths. I'm going to click on that. And here's the box we get. We leave the top one exponent at 1. And I've already got 8 for the interpolation steps. The reason for 8 is because there are 8 rings in between the first and the last ring. So now I just hit apply, and this will take a minute here. And look at that. We've got every size in between. They are all have gone up in size the same amount, and they are equidistant apart and in a straight line, which my tatted piece is not in a straight line. And for my template, I just as soon have them in a straight line instead of all up and down and up and down. So I'm going to go, while they're selected, all selected, I'm going to either go Object, Group, or Control G on the keyboard. And now they're grouped and they're going to move as one. Now, notice if I move them up, that the interpolation actually duplicated the first and last rings. So I don't need those first and last rings that we actually drew. And I've got them in a group. And now because I want to keep them all in alignment and equidistant, I can move the whole thing as a group and watch as I do this. I'm going to move the diagram rings. The first one we made to fit, but if I move this over, notice the second one. And if I move the third one, that looks good. The fourth one looks pretty good. It might be a tad big, but the fifth one actually looks good. And what it is that my tatting itself, the tension and how tight I closed the rings was a little uneven. And see, I've got all of them made. So you can even go, we could have put a star at the right end and it would have made the oval gradually turn into a star shape. Isn't that, yeah, it really is slick. It really is fun. The other thing we can use this for, and I'm going to show you that now. I'm going to open up, well, I think I'll do it right on this page, and we'll use these. Now, if I'm going to actually do, well, I'm going to copy this. I'm copying my group. I'm going to go File, New from Template, because remember, you can get a US letter size template, and I like US letter size. You could pick other sizes if you'd want, at least when I'm doing something like this. And my ruler is inches now too. So I've decided I have something I want to make hexagons to go around. It's a jar. And so I want a template to design a hexagon. First, I'm going to do my copy, paste, or I could do edit in the menu, edit, paste. So I've got my group of rings. At least sizes, I think the biggest one is 10 by 10. So I think, yeah, it's 20. The far right one is 20 double stitches. Now, for a permanent template, I would put the number inside the rings for the number of double stitches that are in there. Um, and I would only use that for my own knowledge to know which size ring I'm taking to put into something I'm designing. Because when you actually do a diagram, you're going to have the number of double stitches for your ring on the outside. Now, sometimes people will put, like if it doesn't, a ring that doesn't have any picots or something, they might put the number inside, but really the inside of a ring should be the ring numbers of double stitches should be on the outside of the ring, and on the inside you can use letters A, B, C, D to indicate the first, second, third ring, and so on. It helps people find out where they're starting or which ring they're on. If they're tatting and you want to know which ring you're on to match your instructions, that can help. So now I want to make a hexagon diagram. Now remember, we've made polar grids before using a polar grid extension, but I don't believe there's a way to make hexagons. But using interpolation, we can start with, I'm going to use my plus key to zoom in here. I'm going to start with a hexagon. So I'm going to click on the polygon tool, which is right below the circle tool. I've got corners up here 5, but I want a hexagon, not a star. The 5 corners is going to make, and the star will make you a star if you click on the star. 5 corners will make you a pentagon, but I want a hexagon because I want a motif that I can connect the corner pieces. I'll turn it like a diamond probably, or I could use it as a square. And I want 6. So I want 6 corners. Now I'm just going to click and drag, and here's my pentagon. I just, at first it was like this, but I held down my control key so it would snap into being totally horizontal at the top and bottom. So here's my first hexagon. And it looks like it's about 1.25 inches, so it's probably bigger than I'd want to start with my center. Although if I wanted my center to have big rings, I would start with this, maybe with this size. So I will either move my piece up so I can see where the points hit at the ruler. And actually I'm going to, again, I'm just going to hold control to keep the proportions and move the right thing in. So now I know it's 1.25 inch from side to side. And actually, up here where it says width, notice how close I got it. 1.242. If I put 1.2, if I change that 42 up here under the width to 1.25, and click back on here, it resized itself to be exactly 1.25 inches. Now, I'm going to duplicate it. Hold shift to make my duplicate proportionally bigger coming out from the center. So shift control. I can make this as big as I want. And I can make it, let's go over here to the width, it's 3.9. Say I wanted I can change the number up here under the width to 4 inches. And then hit enter. Now I have a 4-inch outside edge, And that's how large I want my hexagon to be. Notice one thing though. This is something that I think sometimes you often might have happen. Notice that as I enlarged the whole hexagon, my stroke enlarged as well. Which, if I'm just using this for a template to draw my design on, it really wouldn't matter, although, and you might at intervals want a wider stroke. And I'm going to leave it like this. Normally I would take this stroke. I'm quite sure my center one, I've got my, I've got my fill and stroke palette already up here. If you didn't have it up, you could go to um, Object, Fill and Stroke, Shift Control F, F for fill. Remember, anytime you use Shift and Control, you can use a letter like L to get your layers palette up. I think H is for history. So I have my stroke here. It should be set at 0.65 or 0.75 points. It's set at inches, so it's set at 0.01. I do all mine in um, points when I'm making strokes, because that's just what I understand best from using Illustrator before, and type sizes. The stroke is, I'm going to make the stroke point, whoops, 0.75. That to me is a good size outline. Now, I'm going to select the center, like my first one. Select the outside at the same, whoops. Select the first one, hold shift, select the second one. So I have the smallest one and the largest one selected. And I have a different size line. So now we'll go to extensions, generate from path, interpolate between paths. Now I don't want too many in here. I think maybe 3 or 4 in between. So I'm going to make it 4 and then say apply. Now, you see the one that's selected on top? That's my original one. Remember, the original one you have to put off to the side because Interpolate remakes the smallest, and I should have the biggest here too. And notice this moves as one. So if I was diagram a hexagon, I would then go to my layers palette. I have mine open. Otherwise, go to layer, layers and objects. That'll open your layers palette. I think it calls them panels, your layers. So I've got my, no, I don't want align and distribute. I want my, there, layers right here is my layers. Now, I don't want to start designing on this layer. This is my guide for underneath my hexagon design. And I'm going to move over so you can see my, my layers palette. I'm going to make my grid, fade it way back. So change the opacity. So the guidelines are there, but they're not in the way of what I'm designing. I'm going to go over and this on the right side of layer 1, it shows, and the first box is the opacity. The eye turns it off and on. Opacity, if I click it, I can take it from 100%, which is the right side, lower it down, and I usually go between 30 and 40, or I know that's like 24.5. I'm going to leave it at that. See how faded back the lines have gotten. Maybe I'll even go to 20. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to click off that box. Now I'm going to click back on layer 1, and I'm going to the far right where it's a little open lock. I'm going to click and lock that layer down. So no matter what I draw on top of my concentric hexagon shapes, I'm going to, I won't be moving around my base. Now we're going to do, I want to draw between the V shape from the left and right side of the top side in a V shape. And then when I design in there, I'll be able to copy and paste it all the way around. Or rotate a certain number of copies. Although with a hexagon, I think it's better not to try rotating. That can get messed up. And so definitely I want a center line because when I'm going to be designing in this V triangle, upside down triangle shape, I'm going to want to be able to have a center point. So I'm going to pull my first guideline over, and I tend to do a lot of things by eye, but there are ways you can do them and center them more accurately. But what I do is I click on the item. Oh shoot, I locked it. I want to get my, no, I'm just going to eyeball it for now. Well, no, I'm going to unlock it for a moment because I want to select it. I want to get my guideline right on the center of the arrows. Now, the other thing I need are my left and right angles. And so I'm going to, now I don't want to have the, actually, I think I do want my guides to all be locked in place. So what I can do to get my angles for the other sides of my triangle is, remember, this is a hexagon is like a circle in that from this left side point up to this corner, between every corner, you've got 60 degrees. So you've got 30, 60, 180. Remember, half of what would be a circle. So 60 degrees. So if I go, now it's funny, when we do degrees on a circle, it is, no, I don't know what I want to say. I moved something. I'm going to move my guideline back in the center where I need it to be. Okay, I'm going to double click on it. Now it automatically comes up angle 90 degrees because this is 90 degrees. It's actually 60 and 30. And you don't have to remember all this, but for those of you who like math, and then we are going to use a little math, we want to duplicate this guide, but we want it to be at the 120 degree mark because we've got 60 and 60 is 120. And it kind of almost looks like my hexagon's not exactly, oh no, I guess it is exactly horizontal. So I'm going to, under the angle, I'm going to put 120 because I need a guide at 120. And I'm going to click, rather than OK, which would move, it would turn this 90-degree, my vertical guideline into, and then move it to be a 100-degree angle, 20-degree angle. So I want to make a duplicate of it that goes 180 degrees. Notice where it came out though. Way in this upper corner is where that um, guide came. It doesn't exactly center itself. So I had to grab it and bring it down and put it in place. I can get it exactly in place when I zoom back in. I could do the same thing again, but I can actually click on it again, double click on it again. This time I'm going to put in, whoops, 120. Whoops. I'm putting in 120, but I don't want 100 degrees, 100, I don't want it to be to the right. I want it to be on the left side to make the left line. So I put a minus sign right before the 120. That will make the duplicate to the left, rotating it to the left. So now I'm going to hit duplicate. There's my new guide, and I pull that down in place. Now I'm going to zoom way in to the center, and it looks like I moved them pretty good. They're not quite in line in the center, and you can see they're not quite in line on the corners. So I'm going to grab the right one, put it right at the corner, and the left one I think is pretty good, but let's go down. They're off to the left a little. What I need to do is bring down my center point. And as you can see the center point going through there. Now it doesn't look on my screen like it's quite right. I'm going to line it up with the right and left corners. So I know it's definitely, there we go. It's lined up with all the corner points. Now I can line these two up good in the center. And I could zoom in even closer and get them totally in the center. So everything's in the center. Now I'm going to go and lock my layer. So my guides and everything I think should be locked in place. Now when I design, I didn't bring my, I think I uncopied my, I need to recopy my group. Now I can paste them in here. I don't see where they went. Oh, there they are. They're, because I had it set on opacity and I forgot to make a new layer, they are on layer 1. Except that I locked it, so they shouldn't be on layer 1. They should have gone on layer 2. So let me select them. I can't even select them. Unlock. Select them. I'm going to click the plus over the minus sign in the left corner here and make a layer 2. So I have layer 2. I have to grab these. Notice they're layer 1 and they're down here under G30. So I want to take G30 and move it up to layer 2. Now I can lock layer 1. And I'm going to click the left down arrow to make everything disappear into the layer. Now I'm on layer 2. Now they're still selected and they are on layer 2. Now I can go up and get my fill and stroke menu again. And actually, I don't have to do that. I've got them selected. And I should be able to hold my shift key down to change the color of the stroke and click on black. You know what? Maybe I have to go to my layers and check my layers panel and check my opacity and make sure that's up. It's 100%. I'm going to go to back to my fill and stroke. I wonder if I have to ungroup them because they are grouped together. So Shift Control G or Object, ungroup. Now they're individual. Let's see, I don't think I have to do them individually. I think now that they're ungrouped, I can select them all. Now I can fix my stroke by holding Shift. Whoops, I filled them. I don't want to fill them. No fill. I don't know why my stroke is not changing. It might be because when I copied and pasted it into that first layer, it's going to hold the opacity. It won't let me change the color. So I'm just going to delete these. No, no, no. I'm going to delete these. Select them all and hit my delete key. I'm going to go back to, are there any questions? No more comments, no questions. We're almost done here. And this is some basically review now. I'm going to go to my layers palette. My layer is locked. I'm going to right click. No, I'm not going to right click. I'm going to I'm going to go to the plus and minus on the upper left corner. Make layer 2. Now layer 2, my layer 1's locked. Layer 2, now I'm going to go to my, whoops, not that document. I'm going to copy these again. Control C for copy. Now let's see if I paste these on layer 2. Now I guess that's it. So we've learned something. If you paste it onto a layer that's got an opacity change, and even if you move it out of that layer over on the layers palette up to the second layer, you still can't get your stroke back. Now I can just start taking them. I know that I'm going to ungroup them. Shift Control G. I'm going to bring this down, and there's going to be my first ring. I don't know what I'm going to design for the rest of it, but I'll have, And my first ring, I'm going to put it so the sides enter. And now I'm going to start designing around it. So that's it for today. And let's go do something fun. Let's take our, just as a quick review, let's take our ring down here. And let's take and make a square over on this right side. I'm going to make a little rectangle. Now with my, I'm going to select that with the selection tool. Hold shift and select that. I'm going to go to extensions, generate from path, interpolate between paths. Oh, my interpolate dialog box was way at the bottom. I'm going to make that like six steps. Apply. I had them both, so, oh, paths. I need to change them both, I think, into, select them, make them into paths, like by clicking on the little green box and square, white square inside. Now I'm going to select them both. Whoops, I don't have my selection tool. Now I'm going to select them both, extensions, generate from path. Whoops, I let go on the wrong thing. Generate from path, interpolate, apply. Look at this. What weird shapes to turn it into a square. So anyway, I imagine there are other ways we can use this, but you can take any shape then, a circle, an oval, and interpret a small one, a large one, get your lines in between, or a ring and make it to a bigger size, or anything. You can change it. You can keep the size the same. You could keep the size the same and just change the shape. So this is something we'll have to see if there's any other ways that anyone figures out to use this tool. I'm glad you think it was fun. I thought when I saw I really didn't know a lot about interpolation, and I saw a video on it, and I thought, I'm gonna watch it, and it's like, oh my gosh, that would make the steps between our small and large ring, and it works perfectly because it's going up in the exact same increments all the way around. One of the things, two things I do want to mention that I thought of, and I'm going to go up here. One of the things, notice when you're starting, especially when you're doing it really small, you with like only 4 stitches, my base is pulled apart there. And sometimes when you've got, 2 to 3 or 4, you can't even get the base to pull together, even with 5 here, 5 double stitches. But the thing is, when I tatted them this way, I thought, even down here, they were pulling apart. And I thought, instead of, I'm going to make a new one. And instead of just having bare thread space between them, which really does pull the bases apart, the left side and the right side, it's together here in the circular negative space base where the bottom of the legs are, but at the top, it pulls apart. So what I'm going to do is make a new one, and I'm going to do 2 or 3 double stitches after the ring. Make 2 or 3 chain double stitches as a chain. That'll bring my thread, instead of having my loose thread, over, and I'll do that on each ring. 2 or 3 double stitches, And then I might leave a bare thread space so I can manipulate each of them more easily without, just to have some distance as I'm working with them. Um, but then on each one, the chain stitches over here, my ring, and then pulling the left thread over here to start to do 2 or 3 chains over here will help have a closed up base better. So that would have been a much better idea than how I made my samples. And this is my size 20 thread. And I know that I'm quite sure this is 11. I think I went up from 0 or like 4 to 10, and then I did 11 double stitches, 12, 13, 14, 15, up to, well, 10 and 10, 20 double stitches. So I hope you've enjoyed this. It sounds like you have. I know I had fun with this. And we will see you next week. Next week is design class again. And I don't know how useful um, the golden rectangle and golden spiral and all are for tatting, but it is a design um, concept that I think we should know about because there are some things we can use them. So, well, thank you, Katia. And Janella, thanks for telling me how fun. And Kathleen, this is so neat. Yeah, this whole thing is really, and there's so much more you can do in Inkscape if you're not talking about diagramming tatting. It's just amazing. I mean, this is powerful. Like, it works a little different than Illustrator, but it really is powerful. And and there are differences between the two programs, but they're both so powerful. And you can do so much with this, with Inkscape, getting it for free. So we'll start talking about that. And now, next week's class, in order to explain the golden ratio and the golden triangle and the golden spiral, I'm actually, rather than drawing on paper, I'm actually going to use Inkscape to explain it because it's going to be so much easier and faster. And so you'll get both Inkscape and design all in one class. So I hope to see you next week and have a good week. And bye bye for now. Oops, I'm moving things around. I shouldn't be. Bye bye, everybody.